playoffs are just a couple days away, and we got to bust some myths out there. We got to tell you if it's a fact or if it's a crap. It is NFC edition. We'll talk a little bit of Green Bay Packers. Are they too young to win? Are the Cowboys the real bullies of the NFC? Is the Cooper Cup no longer relevant in LA? Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans are a match made in heaven. But first... And now, Mike's thoughts. With the recent firings across the NFL landscape, other firings have been happening as well. Defensive coordinators are going away. Offensive coordinators are going away. General managers are going away. So with that being said, anytime you start to hear a person's name linked to said team, take it at face value. Just because the Las Vegas Raiders want to talk to Jim Harbaugh, it doesn't mean that Jim Harbaugh wants to talk to them, right? Just because the Chargers want to reach out to Bill Belichick doesn't necessarily mean Bill Belichick wants to reach out to them. Until an interview is lined up, it is all speculation at the end of the day. Everything you hear is all speculation. Yesterday, we spoke on facts. I presented facts to you about this person has an interview lined up with Carolina. This person has an interview lined up with the Dallas Cowboys, right? Now, they necessarily don't have an interview lined up, but they have seek permission to speak to said person from said team. Because when a coach is underneath contract like Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, Dan Quinn, the ownership from the Carolina Panthers have to put a formal agreement into the NFL. The NFL has to reach out to the Dallas Cowboys or the Detroit Lions and say, hey, the Carolina Panthers want to interview this guy. Do you approve it or not? Now, 9 times out of 10, the organization does approve the interview, but there are times when they're like, no, we don't want none of that to happen, baby. So, guys, it is all speculation at the end of the day until you actually hear it set in stone that Aaron Glenn has the interview set up with the Arizona Cardinals. Ben Johnson has the interview with the Los Angeles Chargers. It's all speculation, so slow it down. Just because the Jim Harbaugh and Bill Belichick rumors are out there doesn't mean it's happening. Cue that intro. Are you ready for the best damn NFL show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
You don't want to be every time, no. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that thing. While I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who coming to the stage. Sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that it's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the core. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, then listen some more. On all your stations, not dropping no music. Stripes like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're After Dark, no LA, we the big spark. No 4th and inches won't cut short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzz beaters. We coming live all through your speakers. Go.
And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buck here with the Man Hour, short of manhourradio.com. Check out the merchandise page, check out the blog section, check out the forum section, and check out the Discord. In the link below, I have updated the Discord forum. I only did like a 7-day invite link, and I've been copying it, and I didn't realize it. I updated it for that link to never to expire. So, Discord link is live, active, and is live, raw, and uncut over there. And we got to welcome some people into the chat. We got to welcome my man, John Peoples, in the chat. He says, good morning, y'all. What is up, John? Hope you're having a grand old morning. John, aren't you in Michigan? I'm pretty sure you're in, like, Detroit, Michigan, right? And you root for the Raiders. How much snow did you guys get? Because I know back in Kansas, if you're judging strictly off of Facebook, you would thought the apocalypse has happened in Kansas. Bro's got like an inch of snow. Slow it down, baby. Now, I did see in Iowa they got like a foot an hour or something crazy like that, but he says he's supporting the hoodie. John picked himself a Man Hour NFL hoodie. Man, those things are so sexy. But if you want sexy, there's a guy out there that is one of the most sexiest creatures to grace this blessing of my earth. Sometimes he rubs his beard against my beard, and it gets intertwangled, and then we have to like share a French fry, and then we pour some like McDonald's milkshake on it. And you guys want to talk about magic? My man Hoffy is the most magical man. Magic Man John Hoppin's in the chat today. What is up, Hoffy?
What's up, Buckheister? What's up, Man Hour? Looking forward to maybe talking some actual football, some playoffs here, more so than how sexy I am. I mean, the world already knows it.
Yeah, I mean, my eyes are not broken, as all you clown haters out there seem to think you need some new glasses. I just got new glasses. I just got these. Damn, Hoffy. But Hoffy, last time you were on the show, you had a little meeting previously, holding down the fort. We never really got a chance to like welcome you back to the new year. We are now 10 days into 2024, and how is life, man? Like how are you adjusting to your newborn loins in your bedroom?
To the lack of sleep. Well, I mean, it's a roller coaster for sure. You know, the ups and downs, of having a newborn, and, lost my uncle / my godfather this weekend. So it's been tough trying to battle all the emotions that come with that, and, planning the services and everything. But, having the newborn has definitely helped, and kept my mind off of things. So I'm loving that part of life. So no complaints from me. Not that it really gets us anywhere when we do complain. So
yeah, right.
Just rolling with the punches.
Roll with the punches and deal with the pain, right? But here on the Man Hour, Huffy, we get to live life as loud as we want for the next hour to 2 hours of however long we feel like talking, and we are going to talk some NFC playoffs today. There have been a lot of myths floating around out there, and there's been a lot of assumptions. There's been a lot of this, and there's been a lot of that. But Hoffy, we are going to break it down, and we are going to talk about the Green Bay Packers, the Dallas Cowboys, the LA Rams, and barring time, the Buccaneers, Lions, and what's the other team out there? Shoot, I can't even remember.
Bucks.
The Bucks, right?
And Eagles.
Screw those Eagles. But we'll be talking about those particular teams moving forward. So we are going to sprinkle a little bit of fact and come with some crap and determine whether if the statement is a fact or a crap. But John says Hoffy likes a couple inches. We're not going to say his wife, but Hoffy does like a couple inches straight into his pie hole. Don't you, Hoffy?
I mean, I have twins and I have a newborn, so I'm pretty sure I'm the one that's on the giving end, and because can't have babies, and it's more than a couple inches.
Right.
3 inches is more than a couple, right?
I guess if you're in Germany, but nonetheless. So if you guys are new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, of course, share this with a couple friends as well, because sharing is caring at the end of the day, and we want you guys to care about this clown sitting here in front of you today. I'm going to use the word clown at least 15 times today, Hoffy, because those are what all the comments are for the last 2 days. Clown, clown, clown. But whatever.
Only I had the dinger sound effects. Just we could do a counter.
Oh,
ding, ding.
Let's see if I got that. Nope, that's not it. But anyways, no, that's not it either. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Let's talk about the Green Bay Packers, Hoffy. So the Green Bay Packers, Hoffy, they are arguably one of the youngest teams in the NFL. Their average age is 25.4 years of age. They are the fourth youngest team since the NFL merger back in the day. With that being said, this is Jordan Love's first year starting, and all of his receivers are 2 years experience or less that are any type of significance on the roster. So we got to ask the question, is it fact or is it crap that the Green Bay Packers are too young, Hoffy, to win a playoff game? Let's kick it to you first.
So I don't think you mentioned as well that they are the youngest team to ever make the playoffs as well. So, but I think the key to the success of the Green Bay Packers in this game, and it's, going to be beneficial for the fact that Aaron Jones has missed a couple games, but last year when these teams faced off and the Packers beat the Cowboys in overtime, Aaron Jones ran for, I believe, 200. He had rushed for 207 total yards. He had 3 over 15 yards. A.J. Dillon is going to be, questionable as far as whether or not he's playing. But I think the key to the success of the Packers beating the Cowboys is to do what they did last year, and that's run the ball. Aaron Jones has, these past 3 weeks, I believe he's led the NFL in rushing yards, and that was, again, after taking a couple games off. So he's going to be coming in, hopefully, with fresh legs, and I would like to see, him have 24 touches or so, and I think that is the, that, and as well as Dak not making any mistakes. Those will be the keys to the success of both teams.
Yeah, so one thing that is very condescending about the Dallas Cowboys is like how Micah Parsons is a dominant athlete, right? Micah Parsons is a dominant pass rusher, but when you run the ball directly at Micah Parsons, he becomes a shell of himself. So running the ball is going to be very, very key for the Green Bay Packers. But I want to steer it back to the age part of things. And really, if you think about it, age is just a number at the end of the day. Now, maybe back 20, 30 years ago, when if you potentially had a 22-year-old player playing on your team, right? This player could potentially be wet behind the ears still because he didn't start playing football till his 7th grade year of like junior high and only played a couple years in college, whatever, right? But players nowadays are literally starting to play tackle football at the age of 7, right? My son is 5 years old, and I had the 3rd grade coach call me and say, "Hey, does River want to play tackle football this year?" I'm like, no, he doesn't want to play tackle football. We're going to take the flag for a tad bit here. But with that being said, I'm going to contradict of everything that I just said. Age is very, very important for the Green Bay Packers moving forward because they are a very, very young team across the board, 25 years of old on average, right? The youngest team ever to make the playoffs, from what Hoffy said. You are going against experience. You are going against knowledge. You are going against just the pure man strength of the Dallas Cowboys. And I don't care if you're 25 years old. I don't care if you're 30 years old. The Dallas Cowboys are going to manhandle the Green Bay Packers. So age matters to an extent, but the age doesn't matter at all. This is a crap. I think the Green Bay Packers' age does not matter because the Green Bay Packers, the Dallas Cowboys are that good. They are them. They are going to beat down the Green Bay Packers over and over and over again, Hoffy. So with that being said, we got to jump into the chat here. We see John People says the Detroit Lions. David's in the chat. He says, Chargers are in the house, baby. David, I am going to take you up on your Starbucks butt. So, David, our bet is locked in stone here, man. I have gotten permission from the other half and said, you know what? I like me some Starbucks, she said. So we got a Starbucks gift card bet going on. David thinks the Miami Dolphins will beat the Chiefs. Wow, we'll be taking the Chiefs, and he has the Miami Dolphins all for a $10 Starbucks gift card. So, David, we are locked in, baby. David also says Dallas should beat them, but Dallas can't take them lightly. This is 100% correct, my man. This is 100% correct, David. No team in the playoffs can take any team lightly whatsoever. Because if you start to overlook said team, you are going to get nipped in the butt. So all you San Francisco 49ers fans out there, let me clear my throat and speak up nice and clearly for you guys. San Francisco 49ers fans, don't be overlooking anybody. Don't be overlooking those LA Rams when they come into Santa Clara and they whoop that ass. I hate to say I told you so, but I'm going to tell you so. Don't be overlooking anybody. Hoffy, what do you think? David says the Dallas Cowboys should beat them but cannot take them lightly. Do you think the Dallas Cowboys should beat the Green Bay Packers? You're on mute.
Yes, Dallas should beat the Green Bay Packers, but like I said, if Aaron Jones 3 weeks in a row he's run for over 100 yards, if he can do that again, if he can replicate what he did last year, I think he had 10 or 4 plus 10-yard runs, a couple 15-yard runs. Like you said, Parsons is an incredible pass rusher, but he likes to pin those ears back and go after the quarterback. So if you can run right at him, and the other thing too that the Packers do really well is they, yards after contact. So the Packers are going to have to run the ball and pick up some of those, yards after contact, and the Cowboys are going to have to tackle. So if the Cowboys are not ready on defense to stop the run, then yes, it will be a long day for the Dallas Cowboys. And
just to add to your point here, how did the Buffalo Bills beat the Dallas Cowboys a few weeks ago, Hoffy? James Cook, I think he's still running untouched. Like, this man legitimately was not getting touched at 11 yards down the field. The Buffalo Bills ran up and down on the Dallas Cowboys, and the Miami Dolphins attempted to, with the Cowboys kind of tune it up a little bit, but it is what it is. Next up in the chat, John says, crap. If they do beat Dallas, you will see them. If you do not beat Dallas, you will still see them. What in the hell is John trying to say? Any idea, Javi?
He's already on that morning juice.
Yeah, he's been drinking for a little while. Ralph is in the chat. What is up, Ralph? And he says, expose. Try beating a real team consistently on the road. They can't wait to hear your take when the Packers eliminate the Dallas Cowboys at home. So, Ralph, I actually have these stats for the Dallas Cowboys coming up here, but I'm going to expose your comment here. So when people say that the Dallas Cowboys do not play well, or sorry, it's actually Dak Prescott, right? They say that Dak Prescott does not play well against winning teams. I got these stats here for you, Ralph. Dak Prescott has had an MVP season all year long against sub 500 teams and against above 500 teams. In 9 games versus sub 500 teams, Dak Prescott has 19 touchdowns. In 8 games versus above 500 teams, he has 17 touchdowns. So exactly how is Dak Prescott being exposed when he plays on the road against these above 500 teams, right? Like, before you want to try to twist a narrative and say that the Dallas Cowboys can't beat above 500 teams, Dak is really, really good and pads these stats against below 500 teams, look at these stats right here. 19 touchdowns versus sub 500 teams, 17 touchdowns above 500 teams. 9 games below 500 teams and 8 games above 500 teams. So slow it down, baby. Hoffy, what is up with all the hate for Dak? Is Dak really the bully of the NFC when he piles up against these Pazzy stats against non-winning teams?
I mean, I would say that Tua is more the bully, of the NFL with, what did they have? 1 win versus a 500-plus team, and that was the Cowboys.
Right.
We're talking MVP numbers or we're talking about, Tua possibly being the MVP. And I don't know how yes, his numbers were impressive, but how can you be an MVP when you couldn't beat a team over 500? You didn't win your division. You came down to week 17. I think, if he is to earn that MVP, he should have had to win that game, and he didn't. So there's many players in the league that have padded their numbers against lesser teams, but as we've always said, you play the teams that are in front of you. So
yeah. And just to add to your point here, the NFL has already released the schedule for next year. Now, the games aren't lined up per se, but we know who the Indianapolis Colts are going to play in 2024. We know who the Dallas Cowboys are going to play in 2024. So it is not like the Cowboys are cherry picking their schedule like, oh, Let's play the Cardinals. Let's play the Jets. Let's play this team. Like, when you guys think about it, when the Dallas Cowboys played the Jets, they were an undefeated team. Don't shoot the messenger. Facts are there. They were an undefeated team when the Dallas Cowboys played the New York Jets week 2. It's not my fault.
This isn't the NCAA where Alabama gets to play Holy Christian of North Dakota.
It's the school of the blind, and they're from Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania puts out a very, very good football programs for the blind kids. Question, though, Hoffy.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Question. If a deaf person is arrested, put in handcuffs, are we taking away their free speech? No? Is it too early for that? How about this? What is better than 2 roses on a piano?
2 redheads?
Tulips on an organ. Sorry, guys. Jim says, you guys know Green Bay just went 6-2, right? I do know that, Jim. And I do know that I said earlier in the season that I thought the Green Bay Packers were going to be either really good or really bad. I was concerned about their youth. I did not anticipate them going 9-8. I thought it was going to be like 12-5 or 5-12. I felt there was no mediocre point for the Green Bay Packers. And yes, the Green Bay Packers are, do we dare say it, the hottest team in the NFL right now. Granted, the Buffalo Bills are playing some really, really good football, but let's just put it toward the NFC. The Green Bay Packers are the hottest team in the NFC right now. I will give you that. They did go 6-2, but let's see who they played in those 6 wins to those 2 losses, right? They played the Rams, a really, really good Rams team, beat them 20-3, right? But then they played the Steelers, and then they played the Chargers, and then they played the Detroit Lions. Okay, the Detroit Lions, that was when they were struggling, right? That was when they forgot to put on their left shoe before their right shoe, right? Then they beat the Chiefs. Now, on the surface, the last 6 years, when you look at the Chiefs winning them, great win. Well, guess what? It was at home, and the Kansas City Chiefs hadn't scored a second half touchdown in 3 weeks at that particular point. But then you lose to the Giants. Then you lose to the Buccaneers. You barely squeak by the Panthers. You beat the Minnesota Vikings with on their 5th-string quarterback. And then you squeak by the Chicago Bears 17-9 at home. So, yes, they are a very impressive 6-2 in their last 8. If you look directly at the 6-2 stat, great, fantastic. Look at the games that they played. Hoffy, do you buy anything into the 6-2 record right now? Are the Green Bay Packers the hottest team in the NFC?
No. I think the hottest team in the NFC is going to be either Dallas or the 49ers.
Yeah, and don't overlook the Rams either. So, I mean,
yeah, actually, I would even argue that the Rams are even hotter. I mean, if I'm any of the division winners, the one division winner that I don't want to be is the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, pretty much, because they got a very, very tough road. They play the Rams and the Cowboys and the 49ers. That's a tough Super Bowl track to get there.
If they make it to the Super Bowl, they absolutely earned it.
Yeah, and they better win that Super Bowl, damn it. John says, I agree with Hoffy. Green Bay beats the Cowboys if they cannot stop the run. That is, people need to start putting respect on the running game, right? What is one thing that travels besides defense to the playoffs? That is the running game. The running game travels wherever you go. When we look at the Buffalo Bills versus the Miami Dolphins, if the Buffalo Bills can run the ball effectively, they can win in Buffalo, they can win in Miami, they can win in Baltimore, they can win in California. It doesn't matter. Running carries everywhere. So James is in the chat. What's up, James? He says, age brings experience. Dallas has a big lead on the experience. Not only on the playing side, but the coaching side as well. Hoffy, how old is Matt LaFleur? Like 34, 35 or something? Just like that?
Yeah, I think he's one of the youngest coaches in the NFL.
But with that being said, hasn't Matt LaFleur made it like 3 NFC championship games? I think.
Yeah.
Something crazy. Of course, it was with Aaron Rodgers, right? And you can never double discount Aaron Rodgers.
Discount double check.
David says the truth has been spot. And John says, how is the Dallas secondary versus the pass? I believe they are one of the best. I don't have the stats in front of me.
I think he meant to say Packers.
Oh.
How is the Packers secondary against the pass?
Oh, I don't know. They do have Jair Alexander. That is, I have quickly fell in love with that guy. Just to like his interviews. It was like the last 2 weeks have been freaking amazing. Yeah. He reminds me of that Jamal Williams.
He's going to be going against CeeDee Lamb.
Right.
It's impossible to lock up CeeDee Lamb all game. But, you know, let's say he takes CeeDee Lamb out of the game. We're going to go back to my X factor that I talked about at the beginning of the year, and that's Brandon Cooks. And he has been playing well. And as the year has gone on, him and Dak have built a solid rapport. So I expect if Dak can get hot, and I think, you know, it's at home. The Packers secondary has struggled. Their defense isn't all that spectacular. I do expect Dak and those receivers to eat, but if they can, you know, just make him dink and dunk and keep those big plays from happening and continue to run the ball successfully like they have been these past couple weeks and like they did last year against the Cowboys, they have a shot. But they don't want to get into a shootout with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, and just to add to your point here on the other side, CeeDee Lamb has literally been double-teamed and triple-teamed every game all season long, and he still catches the ball. He still breaks for free. He still finds the end zone. I think I saw a stat where CeeDee Lamb has a touchdown in 12 straight games. 12 straight games CeeDee Lamb has touched.
Record for
it's just crazy
receiving yards this season, if I recall.
Yeah, more than Tyreek Hill. But I also saw him and Tyreek Hill are the only receivers to break 3,000 yards the last 2 seasons. So wrap your head around that. CeeDee Lamb is a real deal. So I don't care if it's the 49ers secondary, the Packers secondary, or the Philadelphia Eagles, or the AFC Pro Bowl secondary. CeeDee Lamb is going to eat, baby. Jim says, come playoff time, Dak looks like Tarzan, but plays like Jane. I would agree with you in years past. Also in years past, he had one of the worst offensive coordinators of all time. That is Kellen Moore. Chargers fans are loving them some Kellen Moore. How many wins did that get you guys this season? I'm legit asking for a friend. Are you guys happy that you let Kellen Moore sit on the free agent market for 10 minutes and then sign him and then you do worse? Dak Prescott is going to have a pretty damn good NFC postseason. A NFL postseason. Dak Prescott's going to probably be the MVP of the postseason because he has Mike McCarthy calling those plays. No more that Kellen Moore BS where he's putting Zeke at swinging Wingate or whatever the hell you want to call it. Absolutely stupid. The best thing the Dallas Cowboys did, the biggest move of the offseason was firing Kellen Moore. And that's why Dak Prescott's no longer going to look like Jane. Hoffy, I feel like Dak is kind of getting under your skin like a little bit.
Me? No.
You love me?
He's getting under everybody else's skin, apparently. I mean, like you said earlier, you could post a video of Jelly Roll, but, you know, put hashtag Dallas Cowboys, and you'd hear nothing but Dallas sucks.
Yeah.
But no, I do expect that, you know, Mike McCarthy is going to have a solid game plan going against his former team. He's not going to want to lose to them 2 times. You know, they lost last year in overtime. But, yeah, I expect Dak to have a pretty solid game against this, you know, suspect secondary. But we'll see come next week when, you know, they're either going they have Detroit coming to them, or, you know, if they're going, you know, to have the Eagles come into town. I mean, but even the Eagles secondary is pretty suspect. So, I mean, I don't think there is really a solid secondary that they could potentially face. So, I mean, I think Dak could eat all playoff long. The only thing that I would question is, you know, is he going to be seeing ghost, as Sam Darnold likes to say, when he's facing the San Francisco 49ers?
He won't have to. But, Hoffy, finish this sentence. Ready for me? Sweet Caroline.
Bum, bum, bum.
And that's exactly who's in the chat. The chat. Oh, I thought we were going with that. But Caroline's in the chat, and she says, I think the Dallas Cowboys will beat the Packers because we know Dallas has yet to lose at home. So I definitely think they will win against the Packers. Great point, Caroline. And actually, the Dallas Cowboys are 16-0 in their last 16 home games. We're talking about Dallas can't win on the road. Dallas can't win on the road. Well, guess what? They're guaranteed at least 2 home games in the playoffs, baby. They're not going to lose. They're not going to lose. Jim says, FT punked the Crypt Kid. What the hell? FT punk cuff the crippled kid? What is he talking about? Was that about my handcuff joke? I don't know. I'm so lost. Sean, what's up, Sean? And he says the Dallas Cowboys just went 6-2 over their last games at 8 games as well. What's the point? Exactly. It is crazy to think that we are saying that the Green Bay Packers are one of the hottest teams in the NFC when they went 6-2 in their last 8, and the Dallas Cowboys went in 6-2 in their last 8. And we're saying, oh, they're kind of bittered and battered and stuff like that. And really, if you look at it, the Cowboys' last 8 games, they have wins over the Giants, same as the Packers, right? They beat the Panthers, same as the Packers. They beat the Commanders handedly. They beat the Seahawks. They beat the Eagles. They did get beat down by the Buffalo Bills. They battled with the Lions, and the Dolphins. They battled the Lions and they beat the Commanders again. So, Hoffy, when we look at 6-2 on the Packers and 6-2 on the Cowboys, what 6-2 is more impressive of the last 8?
I mean, the Cowboys faced, like you said, the Lions, the Dolphins, the Eagles, the Bills. At the time, the Bills weren't in that second spot, but they were surging. I mean, they're one of the hottest teams in the AFC. They had to, they were certainly battle tested to get into the position that they were in. They also faced the Seahawks, which were right there on the cups of a playoff spot. So yeah, I think that the Cowboys are, over these past several weeks have definitely been battle tested as far as, better caliber teams. The Packers have played teams like albeit Justin Fields has played a lot better this second half, but they played the Bears, they played the Minnesota Vikings, so they had a much softer schedule. And we looked at their schedule of the Cowboys versus the Eagles schedule a few weeks back when they were tied for, the division lead, and said, the Eagles have an easier schedule and they have, they control their destiny and they're most likely going to win the NFC East. And, look where we're at now. So right. I think the Dallas Cowboys had a more difficult schedule than the Packers.
So you are saying right here on the record that the Cowboys are hotter than the Green Bay Packers right now for their 6-2, the last 8.
Yes, although people are also going to say that they should be 5-3 because that Detroit Lions game was a here you go.
Right, and they also should have lost to the Commanders because the field was only 53 yards wide instead of 43.5, right, or something like that. So, yeah, we get it. But guess what? They still won that game. James says, why doesn't Dan Quinn catch any flack? You can't expect your offense to consistently put up 30 points on the road. Dallas has put up good numbers on the road, but the defense isn't being held accountable in any way of giving up those points. That is what's costing them the games. I think James definitely nailed the comment of the day. The Dallas Cowboys defense on the road has been lackluster at best. Like at home, the Dallas Cowboys have one of the best defenses at home. On the road, they're sus, right? Just like the Cleveland Browns. At home, literally stat-wise, the Cleveland Browns have the best defense at home. On the road, they're ranked 30th. So, Hoffy, is the Cowboys' defense to blame, you think, for their road woes?
Yeah, I mean, you're not playing on turf. Your offense probably isn't going to put up 30-plus points, every game, especially when you're going on the road. You're not sleeping in your own bed and such. But I'd like to say, yeah, it's all Dan Quinn's fault. I mean, I we could sit here and laugh at the fact that he gave up a 28-3 Super Bowl lead and lost that game. But, the Dallas Cowboys have also faced, again, all teams have faced injuries throughout the year, but they've lost some key players, and yet they're still in that 2 spot. So, you're supposed to win your home games. That's what they do. The road games are always tough, but I don't think it's necessarily Dan Quinn's fault that the defense is, not playing up to par on the road. He's not on the field. He's calling the plays, and I don't think he's calling any plays. The plays aren't any different than what he's calling when they're playing in Dallas. So it's up to the defense to execute those plays. So I think it's the defense. It's not necessarily Dan Quinn.
Yeah, and just to add to your point there, though, as it is defense malfunction in those losses, let's look at these losses. The offense hasn't been doing very well in those losses either, right? 16 points versus the Cardinals, 10 points versus the 49ers, 23 points versus the Eagles, which they probably should have won that game if the field was, 3 feet shorter, they would have won that game. The Buffalo Bills game, they put up 10 points, and then the Dolphins, they put up 20 points. So it's basically like a perfect storm when the Cowboys lose/go on the road, right? It's just a perfect storm. Like, the defense isn't playing as good as they do, and the offense kind of stumbles like a little bit, but it is what it is. And speaking of the Dallas Cowboys, guys, the Dallas Cowboys have been the very topic of this main show, it seems like. So we're going to ask this question. Fact or crap, Hoffy? Are the Dallas Cowboys the bullies of the NFC? Because when we look at the Dallas Cowboys, they have beaten teams like the Giants, Jets, Patriots, Panthers, and the Commanders twice by 30-plus points. In the games versus the Eagles, the Lions, the Dolphins, and the Bills, they don't quite win by that large of a margin, right? Now, you can say the Eagles, they did beat them down 33-13, but it's still no 30 points. When we look at it, when the Cowboys win, they win big. So, Hoffy, is it fact or crap that the Dallas Cowboys are the bullies of the NFC?
It is an absolute crap. The bullies are my San Francisco 49ers.
Why?
Because they beat the shit out of the bullies of the NFC, and that is the Dallas Cowboys. To be the best, you got to beat the best.
Okay.
And the best beat the best. So 49ers are the bullies of the NFC. They are the 1 seed, and I'm going to say that the Ravens are the bullies of the AFC, but the 49ers beat the Eagles, they beat the Cowboys. The Cowboys, they beat the Cardinals both times. The Cowboys lost to the Cardinals, so no. I understand that the Cowboys probably have more wins as far, bigger lopsided wins than what the 49ers have, but when when the 49ers, the Eagles, and the Cowboys have all faced each other, and those are kind of the powerhouse teams. I don't think the 49ers and the Lions didn't face off, so we can't kind of go off of that, but you could look at the 49ers, the Eagles, the Lions, the Cowboys as the 4, probably the 4 best teams. You have the Chargers that are one of the hottest teams coming in, but, and again, the 49ers beat them the first time they played. They lost them the second time, but they were with, Sam Darnold, no CMC. So that's, that doesn't really count. But no, I think the 49ers are the bullies of the NFC.
So when you look at the San Francisco 49ers wins over this particular season, right? Their biggest win came over the Philadelphia Eagles, 42-19, in a close second place at the Dallas Cowboys, 42-10. But in those other wins over the Buccaneers, the Seahawks, the Commanders, they were all 10 to 14 point games. So what does this tell me? This tells me that when the Dallas Cowboys click, they are a very, very unstoppable force, like I said yesterday. When the Cowboys win, their defense scores, their special team scores, and their offense scores. How many defensive touchdowns do the San Francisco 49ers have this season, Hoffy? Any idea?
Defensive touchdowns?
Defensive touchdowns this season. Any idea how many that they have? Google it real quick for me, Hoffy. What does the old Google machine say? I can tell you it's not as many as the Dallas Cowboys in 3 games.
They have 1 pick six.
Bland has 7.
And they have 0 fumble returns for touchdowns. So I guess they have 1.
So they have 1 touchdown. The whole defense has 1 defensive touchdown for the San Francisco 49ers. 1 player for the Dallas Cowboys has 7. 7, Hoffy. 3 more he would have had Miss Davis's touchdowns. Wrap your head around that. You know who Miss Davis is? You should. If you don't, you don't. Listen, the Dallas Cowboys are the bullies of the NFC. When they click, and nobody can stop them. The 49ers can't stop them. The Lions can't stop them. The Ravens can't stop them. The Packers can't stop them. Nobody is stopping the Dallas Cowboys when they play a nice, complete game. The San Francisco 49ers can play a nice, complete game, and yes, they can beat the Philadelphia Eagles 42-19. The Philadelphia Eagles won 1 of their last 6. Way to beat a losing team, right? Oh, we can't say there's a losing team. They still got 10 wins, right? But look at the relevance. The relevance of it is that the Dallas Cowboys are better than the San Francisco 49ers. So therefore, the Dallas Cowboys are the bullies, Hoffy. Jeez.
They are not better than the Niners.
Tell me why.
Let their asses kicked
no.
head to head.
Okay, in week 5 when the Dallas Cowboys had 4 offensive linemen down, and Trayvon Diggs went down the Thursday before that game.
Dallas got obliterated by the Cardinals in a quarterback that I don't even think he's going to be in the league next year. He's going to be working for NASA. The 49ers beat them twice.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did the Niners lose 2 back-to-back games to non-playoff teams, and the Vikings and the Bengals? Right?
The Bengals at that time had a healthy Joe Burrows.
And your point is what? Did they still lose to a non-playoff team in Cincinnati Bengals? Did they lose to a non-Minnesota Vikings team, non-playoff team, back-to-back weeks? Did the Cowboys lose the back-to-back weeks to non-playoff teams?
With their backup quarterbacks.
Say that again. I didn't hear you.
Both teams that they lost to, that you're saying did not make the playoffs, were battling for a playoff spot with backup quarterbacks. So if they had their starting quarterbacks, they absolutely would have been playoff teams.
I think that's false. I think they were better with their backups.
Kirk Cousins was putting up unbelievable numbers, and he
does everything.
Had that team at what, four wins in a row or something before his injury?
Was Kirk Cousins a part of that 5-win stretch for the
I know he was
Vikings?
Part of their 0-2 or 0-3 start, and then I think he had. So I think he was part of both of those. I don't think he can take full credit for the 4 or 5 game win streak they had, but I think it was at least 3.
I don't remember when he went down, but I thought it was like week 5 or week 6, and that was when the Vikings were 1-4 or 1-4 or 2-4.
You know, they also were without Justin Jefferson for a good part of the year.
Okay.
I think I think the Vikings very well could have been a playoff team.
And
go
ahead. Vikings could have been a playoff team.
I do think that Justin Jefferson was out of that 49ers game. So I mean that kind of helps your argument there, but still.
And Kirk Cousins got hurt versus the Bears. So they didn't have Kirk Cousins either. So the 49ers game was their first game versus the backup quarterback, and that was the Adrian Hall guy, which into the good.
Was it Hall or was it Dobbs?
They didn't get Dobbs till like late in the season. So, but either way. John says, I have to agree with Hoffy. The 49ers are the bullies. Jim says, crap. James says, I'm with Hoffy on this one. The 49ers are the bullies. Jeez. Hoffy love in there. Jim says, to beat the best, so the Ravens are the best. He's got to there, Hoffy. The Ravens did go into Santa Clara.
I said the Ravens. I said of the NFC, it's the 49ers. Of the AFC, it's the Ravens. You put them head-to-head, the Ravens beat them. So, you got to go with the Ravens.
Okay. John says, I love it when people sleep on the Lions. That's when the restore the war of 24. Listen, John, go back to your Raiders. Go back to your mediocrity. I'm kidding. Robert Delray Tree says the best team in the NFC are the Detroit Lions. Hoffy, factor crap. Are the Detroit Lions the best team in the NFC?
I'd take the Rams over the Lions.
Yeah, it's 100% crap. I don't think the Detroit Lions are the best team in the North right now. Give me the Bears. I'm kidding. Justin Fields MVP, right, Combsy?
Eberflus is still part of that organization. So as long as that's the case,
no, but
they're going to be in the
realistically, if you were to rank the 7 NFC teams, I think the Detroit Lions would come in at 6th and like a power rankings type of form and like a 4-4 format there, with the Packers really close on their heels, to be honest. I mean, we'd probably have to give it to the 49ers and then the Cowboys, and then the Rams would be at like number 3. So I don't think the Detroit Lions are even the best in the first round. Spencer says they won't give up a defensive touchdown against the 49ers. So, Spencer, I believe you were talking about the Dallas Cowboys. So you are telling me that the Dallas Cowboys will not give up a defensive touchdown against the San Francisco 49ers? Am I understanding that right, Hoffy? So basically the 49ers won't score against the Dallas Cowboys? Like, is that how I took that? Or am I understanding that wrong?
I think he just needs to go back to English class and learn proper grammar. I don't think that's what he was trying to say.
And Spencer says Bland has those against very, very bad teams. It doesn't matter who they're against. How obviously it's very, very hard to get an interception in the NFL. It is very, very hard to get multiple interceptions in the NFL. It is very, very hard to get one pick six, right? San Francisco 49ers, one pick six all season long. This man has 7. I believe he broke the record this year. He has more touchdowns than a lot of receivers in the NFL. So I don't care if they're against bad teams, great teams, whatever. A pick six is a very elite performance type of, not elite performance, but it is a elite level. It's an expert level achievement. What do you got for us, Hafi?
Correction, Kirk Cousins did play in the game against the 49ers. He went 35 of 45, 378 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception.
Ouch. 49ers defense got lit up. Caroline says, yeah, the Cowboys got it on defense. Touchdowns for show, baby. And then she agrees that the Cowboys are the Bullies. What?
49ers won't give up a defensive touchdown is what he's saying.
Oh, okay. It doesn't matter when the Cowboys defense scores more than your offense.
I mean, I'm not a Cowboys fan. I love to hate on them. But you get 1 pick six, we'll call it lucky. 2, I guess you could call it lucky. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't care if it's against, the school of the blind and you're on Alabama Crimson Tide. I mean,
right.
That's a feat in itself. It hadn't been, what was the record? 5, 6 coming into the season.
I have no idea what the record was, but I know he blew it out of the water in like 9 games or something.
This guy's, is this his second year or is he a rookie?
So this is his second year. He was a rookie last year, started for the Cowboys, but then Stephon Gilmore came and basically took his spot. So he was like that backup nickel type of corner.
Yeah, he was going to be like a nickel, I think, this year. But yeah, I mean, he did this as well in college, and that is why, he was so coveted by, Dan Quinn. He likes the guys that can get the ball. They don't have to be, coming from these powerhouse schools, but he likes, I mean, he drafts what he wants in a player, and he fits the Dan Quinn mold. So
yeah, and coaching is a big thing. We've been talking about it on the Man Hour for the last 2 weeks here. Like coaching is a very overlooked commodity.
And they have a really solid cornerbacks coach. I can't think of his name, but he's a former player himself. And I mean, and you see him on the sidelines,
the black guy that has the dreads.
Yeah, you see him talking to the players and coaching them up. I mean, Bland is a solid dude and doesn't
And
use
obviously
the
it is
argument that it's
it is coaching, because Diggs did the same thing, right? Last season, because
yeah, but he also gave up the most yards by any quarterback. He just sits there in the middle of the field and picks where the hell he wants to go.
Yeah, I mean, Diggs did give up a lot of big plays, but he also gave up a lot of big plays, and that's what happens when you gamble, right? But you can do that when you have a great offense and a great quarterback like Dak Prescott. Spencer says, when was the last time the Cowboys beat the 49ers? I could not tell you. Really, this rivalry hasn't been renewed until like the last 4 or 5 games, and I feel like they haven't really played since then. Since it was the big thing in the 90s and the 2000s. So, Hoffy, you as a 49ers fan, do you remember the last time the Cowboys beat the 49ers? I mean, obviously, it's been at least 4 years, right?
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen, not going to happen. So just don't plan on it.
Okay, and then
Niners in the Super Bowl, baby.
Here's the go-to thing when everybody is wrong. He says, stop smoking that meth because, we're on drugs if you don't agree with us. Great. Let's give this man a round of applause. First drug analogy of the day.
Have you ever smoked meth before?
I have not.
You should try it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I heard that. But I have been claimed to be doing meth, rocks, cocaine, wacky tobacco, acid. Pretty much in the last week, I have done every drug underneath the sun. But whatever.
You should try mushrooms then. That seems like that's one that's not on your list yet.
Every year at Dave Matthews, we do mushrooms. Spencer tries to say that none of their offensive line was down versus the 49ers. They literally were missing 4 starters. But he says you clearly haven't paid attention. Paid attention to what? The 49ers? Who cares about the freaking 49ers? And then Jim brings up this question, Hoffy. Why do the 49ers have to score on defense when they win on offensive points? You know how you're supposed to? You're supposed to score on offense? I'm not saying the Dallas Cowboys don't score on offense, Jim. I'm just saying it makes the offensive job a hell of a lot easier when the defense is scoring, when the special teams is blocking punts and picking and scooping and scoring those. It makes the offense job a hell of a lot easier when the defense is scoring points. The 49ers defense does not do that. Man, there's a lot of comments we got to get caught up on. Cleveland did it with 4 different quarterbacks, did what with 4 different quarterbacks? And then Spencer wants to say this dude has no football knowledge. So, Spencer, let me ask you this question. Since you have all the football knowledge in the world, my man, why in college football, when you snap a field goal and the holder is on his knee, why is that player not down? Because in college, if you put a knee down, you are down. So when you catch the ball and you put it down for the kicker to kick it, your knee is down. Why is that player not down? Answer me that, Spencer, since you have so much football knowledge, my man. Answer that question. Oh.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Daryl's in the chat. He says, we forget so soon. The Eagles were 10-1 before facing the 49ers. Wonder what happened facing them. Stole their heart, says Daryl. The Niners are the bullies, and they don't need to score on defense to win the game. Daryl, you might be exactly right. Was it since that 49ers game the Eagles went 1-6, or was it 1-5 for the rest of the season? Something happened to the Philadelphia Eagles after that 49ers game. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it is. Did the age catch up to them? Because, we know that offensive line is very, very an elder state offensive line, right? Jason Kelsey was, flirting with retirement last season. Lane Johnson and those guys have all been together for at least 10 years. So, Hoffy, do you think that the 49ers stole the heart of the Philadelphia Eagles after that? Was it 42 or 39-19 score, whatever it was?
Yeah, I think the Eagles were really on borrowed time most of the season, and it started in week 1. They looked like crap against the Patriots, and it carried over, and yeah, they went 10-1, but I'm pretty sure most of those games were like one possession games, which, you know, it's tough to win those, but, you know, they eked them out 10-1. But I think the, you know, 49ers really let them know that, hey, you know, you're not in the league that you think you're in. This isn't last year's Eagles team. You know, and I think we're going to dive more into it when we talk about the Bucs and the Eagles. So I won't, you know, get into it completely, but yeah, I think the 49ers put a beat down on them and let them know, you know, and made them realize, like, shit, we are not them.
Alrighty here. So sorry, I'm just going through all the comments here, and
they even did it to Philadelphia in Philadelphia. At least the Cowboys ass whooping that they took to the 49ers was in Santa Clara. It's more
right
understanding per se, but to have a team come into your home building and just up and down the field and just beat that ass the way the 49ers did, that's embarrassing. That's hard to come back from, I think.
So this has kind of been like a ongoing joke, I guess, from Jim for the last, I don't know, pretty much all NFL season. And Jim always says, no matter how bad they are, meaning the Eagles, Jason Kelce is still the most talented Kelce. So when we look at Travis versus Jason Kelce, obviously it's like trying to compare apples to oranges, right? An offensive lineman versus a tight end, a athlete versus a non-athlete. I mean, let's just call linemen what they are. They're non-athletes. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But let me ask you this, Hoffy. Do you think Jason Kelce is more talented than Travis Kelce?
How can you say that?
I don't know.
I mean, I know a center's job is to, you know, call out the plays and call out the blitzes and kind of get the offensive line, you know, and let the quarterback kind of know. And yes, he's probably one of the best centers in the league, but, you know, I would say that's what makes Kelce so good, is that he knows how to read defenses and he knows when to sit down on a route and when to break off of a route. And, you know, so I would say as far as knowledge, they're both right there. And, you know, Travis Kelce is arguably one of the best tight ends of all time. And it's really only an argument, I think, at this point of between him and Gronk. I don't even think you can put Gonzalez in there. You can't put Shannon Sharp in there. I think you could argue for a number of NFL centers if you're an actual NFL fan. I mean,
right.
Joe Schmoes from Idaho probably don't know of any, you know, who knows of, you know, nobody knows who offensive linemen are. So, you know, I don't think anyone would know who Kelce was if his brother wasn't Travis Kelce per se.
Yeah.
But no, I think that Travis Kelce is by far the more superior athlete.
So when I think of athlete, I think of a person, a player that can play multiple positions. So watching the Northern Heights podcast, right? Jason has been a center his whole life. From 5th grade until now in the NFL, he has been a center his whole life. Travis Kelce was a quarterback for his team. Travis Kelce used to be a running back. He used to be a wide receiver. Then he got a little thick in the skin and he moved to tight end. That tells you right there that you are the better athlete because when you are little, it doesn't matter how big or how small. The best athlete plays quarterback on your little league team. Let's just be honest. Put the ball in my best athlete's hand. That tells you that Travis Kelce is better than Jason. David, I think, has probably put the nail on the head here, and he says the Eagles seem to have some type of locker room problem. I said it when the Philadelphia Eagles played, I think it was the Miami Dolphins. They're up 17, 18 points going into the fourth quarter. A.J. Brown had 4 targets and 1 catch, and he's sitting there bitching on the sideline that he wasn't getting the ball enough, right? I mean, obviously, the very next drive, they throw it to him like 6 times in a row, and he drops 3 of them. So I don't know exactly what type of locker room problem there is, but there's obviously some type of somebody sleeping with somebody's wife, like at the end of the day. Like that's probably what is happening inside that locker room. And winning cures all. And when you are 10-1, those cracks get covered up with a little bit of duct tape, and we'll deal with it in February and March. Well, We got beat down by the 49ers, and that duct tape started to shift a little bit. We got beat by the Giants. That duct tape shifted a lot. So I think David is right. Hoffy, do you think there's some type of
lost?
Good.
They also lost both offensive and defensive coordinator, and then they switched defensive coordinators in the middle of the year. So I mean, the defense is probably questioning So yeah, I do think there's some locker room issues, and I mean, they do have a pretty young defensive line and such. Most of them are Georgia Bulldog guys. Right. But Jalen Carter did not perform the way they thought. He was not that run-stopping defensive tackle that they thought they were getting when they drafted him. Smith, that their outside linebacker, has not been what they wanted out of him.
Right.
And then I think they have another defensive tackle that is part of the Georgia Bulldogs roster as well that hasn't performed well either. So the defense, I think a lot of these young players are still living off of last year's success, which they didn't have a huge part of that success. So
right.
I think it's like when you join a softball team, and this softball team has been the best, and they've won every single tournament. You now join them and you show up to these your first tournament with them, and you think you're part of the team, and oh yeah, we've won states the last 3 years, and then you get smacked in the mouth. It's like reality check.
Yeah, keep the ball in the park, you won't get out. But with that being said, Hoffy, I understand that they do have a new defensive coordinator, a new offensive coordinator, but at some point that has to be kicked out the window. Is that 6 games into the season? Is that 8 games into the season? I don't know. But come week 12, I think that is old news. You've had 12 plus 3 preseason games, so you had about 25 weeks to institute a new system. If you don't figure it out by now, it is something more than just defensive play calling or scheme or whatever, right? It is.
Yeah, I was just saying it in the fact of the offensive and defensive coordinator last year obviously commanded the room. They owned the room.
Right.
These new guys don't have the respect. They don't have that. I'm the one in charge. I am the general of this, of this army. You guys follow me. So
right.
That's more so what I meant by new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. It's a complete new team than last year. So you can't think, hey, we made it to Super Bowl last year, we're going to be that team again.
Yeah.
So
just like the
Eric
Bieniemy effect. Yep.
Yeah. I don't think the coordinators control the room.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And I think what's the coach's name? Nick Sirianni. He demanded excellence, and the whole crying thing in the Super Bowl has kind of caught up to him. Like, hey, this man's soft. But James, I actually have heard this as well. But James says there has been rumors flying around about AJ Brown being very cancerous in the locker room. I have heard this for the last 7 weeks. There's been Philadelphia Eagles insiders posting this on Twitter. There's been blogs written about it, and I actually spoke on it about a month ago after the Cowboys lost. So I think the more you hear about it and the more you see it on the field, AJ Brown is probably one of the reasons for these shortcomings of the Eagles this season.
Yeah, the Titans didn't get rid of him for no reason. It wasn't just because he wanted money. I mean, because they had no problem paying a old DeAndre Hopkins.
Right.
So
true. Money talks, and then Cat Williams. Damn it. It's Cat Williams' fault, says Jim. John says single hitters over the home run hitters all day long. No. If we're playing softball, I want 3 home run hitters. I want 3 base hitter guys, single. You get a big juice boy, hit a 500-foot bomb, telescopes it out, stands it up, puts the sword back in the cape, walks away.
Bombs, bat flips, and fat chicks. That was always my saying.
And is AJ Brown related to Antonio Brown? I don't know, but they both got CTE.
Speaking of CTE,
yeah,
you're on Instagram. Do you follow Chandler Jones?
I do not. So I'm on Instagram, but I'm not on Instagram, if that makes sense.
If you want a good laugh, follow Chandler Jones. He makes Antonio Brown look like an absolute saint.
Really?
He's getting arrested like every single day, and like videotaping it, or he's going live on Instagram while he's getting arrested. And
This is the Chandler Jones that was just cut from the Arizona Cardinals like
yes
9 weeks ago,
yeah.
10 weeks
and
ago.
then and then signed with the Raiders, and
Yeah.
he is getting arrested like 3 times a week. Or not even arrested, but put in handcuffs and brought to a mental institution to, because he's saying that his dog is possessed by Larry Fitzgerald, and he's, smoking marijuana constantly on these live feeds. And it's comical.
He never did that when he was a part of the Arizona Cardinals. He went to the Raiders and instantly become a felon. Is it a coincidence?
He didn't do it with the Patriots either. So yeah, I think he hit the nail on the head.
All right, guys, that is going to be it for today's show. Oh, that's not what we wanted. We wanted that. We talked a little bit about Packers. We talked about the Dallas Cowboys. If you guys want the rest of the fact or craps here, I have them over on the blog section. We covered the Rams receiver issues. We covered Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield being in a love triangle. We talked about the Philadelphia Eagles pass rush. And, of course, we talked about the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff. Is Jared Goff the same guy as he was in L.A. versus the Detroit Lions? And Spencer says, ignore my comment about the lineman excuse because you're wrongfully said the Cowboys O-line was hurt when they weren't. It was hurt. It was hurt. Watch the game. Robert says, have a good day. Lions #1. Raiders Nation for life. Every time I see that, I see the word anal. So anal, baby. Coffee. Send us out, big guy.